Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of your family. In the previous class, we had an introduction or overview to the pharmaceutical technology. And in the same session, I had given you a task to introduce yourself, and till date there are almost 47 responses from final year evening and 73 from the morning. All of you have written well, and many have tried a good writing approach for an introduction and explanation of their future viewpoint. Although I had asked you about the goal in your life, and you all have been giving me the future perspective of yours, specifically professional one, that is good, but still we can have an extra class for this skill only. We are going to start the first chapter today, that is Principles of Pharmaceutical Formulation and Dosage Form Design. This chapter is divided into 3 sections, that is need for dosage form, pre-formulation studies, and product formulation. But before going to the depth of the topic that we are going to cover in this chapter, it is important that you may understand the background first. And when we talk about the background, being a pharmaceutical professional, we must know the industrial standpoint behind the study of this specific area. It is important that you must be aware of the nature of pharmaceutical research and development, that is commonly known as R&D, in order to appreciate the importance of pre-formulation and formulation in the overall process. Speaking in simpler way, we can say that we must know the goals behind the formulation or pre-formulation and the product formulation studies. Expressing it more elaborately, the objective of pharmaceutical R&D can be defined as converting ideas into candidate drugs for development. And by ideas, we mean that the research that has been done to isolate biologically and pharmaceutically active compounds, or they may be already present compounds or molecules requiring modification. And the objective of product development is defined as converting candidate drugs into products for registration and sale. In reality, these goals are extremely challenging and difficult to achieve because of the many significant hurdles a pharmaceutical company or industry has to overcome during the course of drug development. So what are the stages and difficulties from research to product registration and sales a pharmaceutical industry faces? The first activity that is carried out in the process is research. What requirements or challenges an industry faces during this process? In research, the first problem or requirement is that the isolated candidate drug is a novel compound. The pharmaceutical industry defines that the isolated candidate or the candidate for nomination is a novel compound or not, and by novel means a new one. Then the question arises that is that novel compound or molecule is patentable? Now you might be confused with the word patentable. It actually arose from the word patent, which means that a government authority or license conferring a right or title for a set period of time, especially the sole right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention. In easy words, a pharmaceutical company must have the right for making, using, and selling their own invention rather than any other pharmaceutical industry. The second requirement that is followed by the isolation of a candidate and its novelty is that the novel compound do have any novel biological mechanism, and again, is that patentable or not. There might be unmet medical needs of the compound, and a question may arise that the candidates selected have potent or selective behavior. So before going to the next activity, a pharmaceutical scientist must answer all these questions and requirements that are discussed just now. Next comes the safety. The safety is the most important parameter for selecting an ideal drug candidate for product development. By safety, we means that the selected candidate must show high margin of safety, and it should be non-toxic and non-carcinogenic when administered to a specific patient. After safety, there comes the clinical studies. The clinical studies are conducted in order to know the tolerable side effects of the compound or tolerable side effect profiles of the compound or selected candidates, their efficacy and extendable duration of action when they are given for any therapeutic action or therapeutic plan. After this is done safely and effectively, the step of pharmaceutical drug processing comes. In this step, bulk drug synthesis is carried out, followed by acceptable formulation and packaging design that meets the customer demands. And then it is analyzed that the drug delivery, or in the marketing terminology, product performance, is acceptable and meets the biopharmaceutical criteria for the target patients or not. After that, the stability profiles of the formulated product are being carried out, and an acceptable shelf life is put forth for the specific product. After all this is done, the clinical trial process robust, and that may be scaled up if the results are satisfactory after initial trials. So let's repeat what we are doing in pharmaceutical drug process. In this step, we are actually bulk synthesizing the drug molecules that are actually acceptable for formulation and packaging that meets the customer demands or the patient demands. If this is done, then the drug delivery is analyzed, that how you are actually going to formulate a particular product in a delivery system. In marketing terminology, this specific term is known as product performance, which is actually acceptable and meets the biopharmaceutical criteria for the target patients. Once all is done, stability profiles of the formulated products are carried out, and a specific shelf life is determined for the selected product. Then comes the extensive process of regulation and manufacturing. After the initial clinical trials are found to be effective, that the documentation for quality of the data obtained from previous activities is completed, and manufacturing capability is analyzed, and if all goes well, then the drug will be able to pass the pre-inspection approvals. After this extensive exercise, that may need a decade or more, with the multiples of approval from the regulatory bodies of the country, the marketing and commercialization of the new pharmaceutical product is carried out. And it is not the end here. The pharmaceutical industry analyzes the drug according to the competitive market demands. Either the marketed product meets the customer needs or not, and is it giving the value for money and that have already been spent, and lastly, what is the commercial return of that product. The terminologies like value for money and commercial return would be more explained in detail in your marketing class. What happens to the drug until it reaches the market? The high risk of failure in drug discovery and development throughout the pharmaceutical industry statistically shows that on average only in 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 10,000 compounds screened in research will reach the market. Of those that are nominated for development, like from 1 in 5,000 or from 1 in 10,000, whatever the compounds are nominated for development, the failure rate will vary from 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 compounds that will reach that will actually achieve registration and reach the marketplace. On top of that, there is significant commercial risk for those that are marketed. Only 3 out of 10 are likely to achieve a fair return on investment. This terminology will again be explained to you by your marketing teacher. I'm not going in detail of this return on investment thing. The product which gives poor return on investment are often the result of poor candidate drug selection. Like the compounds does not have the desired properties for safety, selectivity, efficacy, potency, or duration, or it may be due to poor product development. Like the development program that had been chosen does not establish the value of the product. The poor product development can be avoided by careful assessment at the product design stage of the development. What needs to be done for success? To be successful and competitive, research-based pharmaceutical companies must ensure that new discoveries are frequently brought to the market to generate cash flow. By cash flow, we means that it is the net amount of cash and cash equivalents being transferred into and out of the business. This is required to fund the next generation of compounds, to meet the therapeutic needs of the patients, and of course to benefit the shareholders. The whole cycle of events that are being carried out in all these processes is sometimes referred to as a product life cycle. So how much time does it take a drug to reach the market? The average time from drug discovery to product launch is currently estimated to take around 10 to 12 years, almost a decade or more. Several factors may have contributed to lengthening development times over the years, including an increase in the preclinical phase to select the candidate drug, and also an increase in the duration of the clinical and regulatory period required for marketing approvals. On average, the preclinical phase currently takes 4 to 6 years to complete, whereas the time for candidate drug nomination to regulatory submission takes on average 6 to 8 years or longer for treatment options that are used for chronic conditions. Most of the pharmaceutical companies take arrangements to reduce this time by re-evaluating and subsequently streamlining the developmental processes. For example, by introducing more effective clinical programs and more efficient data reporting systems, forward planning, and conducting multiple activities in parallel. However, in spite of all these processes, this in return may put formulation development and clinical supplies on the critical path, with pressures to complete these activities in condensed time scales or in shorter time scales. Here comes the art of reformulation and the art of biopharmaceutics and formulation development that are to be done in the most efficient manner in order to avoid delays in developmental times. So what are the current trends that are followed in pharmaceutical industry? There is a changing trend in the nature of candidate drug emerging from pharmaceutical research and development from a low molecular weight chemical to a more complex macromolecule or more commonly known as biologicals, which can be a peptide, protein, or enzyme, or an antibody, or a nucleic acid, a genetic material, or multi-component vaccine. Some of these compounds have been derived from biotechnological processes to produce biotechnological medicinal products that fight infections and various diseases. The US Food and Drug Administration and European Agency for the Evaluation of Medicinal Products have already approved biotechnological medicinal products for anemia, cystic fibrosis, growth deficiency, hepatitis, and transplant rejection. You may find many products on the FDA official website as well. Many more are being developed to treat cancer, human immunodeficiency virus infections, and acquired immunodeficiency syndromes, multiple sclerosis, and stroke. A major challenge that a formulator faces is to develop self-administered formulations to deliver macromolecules such as proteins and polypeptides into the body, for example, by the oral and inhalation routes. Here, the word self-administered means the process in which a patient can administer a drug to him or herself. That means it do not require any special need or any specified equipment for it. So what actually is being done from conventional to modified technology? More sophisticated drug delivery systems are being developed to overcome the limitations of conventional forms of drug delivery systems, for example, tablets and intravenous solutions, to overcome the problems of poor drug absorption, the non-compliance of patients, and inaccurate targeting of therapeutic agents. One example of an emerging drug delivery technology is the use of low-level electrical energy to assist the transport of drug across the skin in a process known as electrophoresis. This method could be particularly useful for the delivery of peptides and proteins which are not adequately transferred by passive transdermal therapy. The drug absorption rate is very rapid through electrophoresis and more controlled compared with the passive diffusion across the skin. Another example is the use of bioerodible polymers. Bioerodible polymers can be implanted or injected within the body to administer drugs. From a matrix which can be formulated to degrade over a long duration from 1 day to 6 months, and that they do not require retrievals. Some of these specific delivery systems will be explained in more detail later in the chapter of controlled drug delivery system. What is the way forward for pharmaceutical industries? To achieve the best chance of a fast and efficient development program to bring a drug candidate to market, there are benefits for pharmaceutical development to get involved early with the preclinical research during the candidate drug selection phase. The drug selection criteria may be primarily based on pharmacological properties such as potency, selectivity, duration of action, and safety or toxicology assessments. However, if all these factors are satisfactory and similar, there may be an important difference between the pharmaceutical properties of the drug candidates. A candidate drug with preferred pharmaceutical properties, for example, good aqueous solubility, crystalline, non-hygroscopic, and good stability, should be selected to minimize the challenges involved in developing a suitable formula. Another important factor is good long-term planning. Ideally, from candidate drug nomination to selection to launch, with the consideration for the safety, clinical, pharmaceutical development, manufacturing operations, and regulatory strategies involved to develop the product. Good planning is supported by adopting a systemic and structured approach to product development. The development process can be broken down into several key stages that are product design, process design, product optimization, process optimization, scale up, and so on. So here some words needs explanation or definition, like product optimization. What is optimization? Optimization is actually the action of making the best or most effective use of a resource. So in product optimization, what we do, we actually make the best use of the product resources, and in process we do the same for the process itself. The second thing is a scale up. By scale up, we means that to make something larger in size or amount, etc., that then it can use to be. Here, scale up of a process means that scaling up a process from research and development stage to manufacturing scale. Early stage or each stage will have inputs and outputs. The simplified framework of product development is shown over here. The process of planning and documentation is a long way process which is actually composed of 4 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Phase 4 is subdivided into 2 stages, that is of regulatory review and launch. The process starts from the candidate drug selection, then the biopharmaceutical and pre-formulation characterization of the drug is being carried out. In this particular chapter, we will be focused on the formulation studies of the drug and the characterization processes that has been carried out in the pre-formulation stage. Once the pre-formulation is done, the next step comes, and that is of product design. In this, the product profile is being made and critical quality parameters are analyzed. Product optimization is done after the product design, and in this step, the quantitative formula that is being used and the raw material and the component specifications are analyzed. Once all these processes are done, product optimization is completed, process design is established. In this complete process, outline and equipment and the facility definitions are being carried out, that where the production would be done. After that, the stage of process optimization comes. I've already told you the definition of optimization. The time would be in doing optimization. In this stage, the process controls and product specifications are completed, and then the clinical trials are being carried out, or the initial clinical trials are started. Scale up for clinical trials are carried out from phase 1 to phase 2 or the middle of phase 2. In this phase, the clinical trials are actually scaled up for commercial production, and the whole process of product development passes from phase 2 to phase 3. Once the scale up for production, commercial production is done, the process of validation starts. The process of validation starts, and a new drug application submission is filed to the regulatory bodies. Once the new drug application is approved, the manufacturer launches the product and it commercializes the product, and the manufacturing scale up is being carried out. So that's all from today's class. Let's summarize what we have learned today. Initially, we did discussion about the background of the study, that why we are actually studying the pre-formulation and product formulation, and its industrial perspective and the goals. Then we studied the stages and difficulties from research to product registration and sales that a pharmaceutical industry or a pharmaceutical company might face. Then we discussed that what happens to the drug until it reaches the market, and what needs to be done for a successful market competition. How much time a drug takes to reach the market, and what are the current pharmaceutical trends in the market. How the drugs are modified from conventional to modified dosage forms, and what is the reason behind. What is the way forward for learning all these things, and what planning and documentation actually is carried out in product development. This whole lecture was referenced from the book Pharmaceutical Pre-Formulation and Formulation, a practical guide from candidate drug selection to commercial dosage forms, written by Mark Gibson. In the next lesson, we will be learning the topic, the need for dosage form design. We will start from the very basics in that class. I hope that you won't face any difficulty in understanding this lecture, but still, if you do so, you may ask questions and discuss a specific parameter that you do not understand in length. For your queries, the discussion forum is open on HULMS. You can post over there whatever the difficulty may be. There is a trick behind understanding this lecture. What you need to do is listen well, transcribe it on your notebook like you normally do in face-to-face class, and still if you feel any difficulty, the option of asking and discussing is there. Thank you for patiently listening to this lecture. Take a very good care of yourself and everyone around you. May Allah accept your prayers in this holy month of Ramzan. Ameen and Allah Hafiz.